The room was filled with charts and projections, but what caught my attention the most were the tense faces around me. The team was focused on the presentation, but I could feel the anxiety hanging in the air. As a Silicon Valley magnate, I was always on the lookout for the next big investment, but something about this meeting made me uneasy. The voices intertwined in a mosaic of ideas, but one stood out: Maya Thompson. The name echoed in my mind like a warning. "Mr. Scott, we have some data on a startup that could be promising," said my analyst, raising a report. The light from the projector illuminated the paper in his hand, and a part of me was already skeptical. What more could there be? I was used to seeing proposals from rising companies, and most of the time they were just illusions. However, as I flipped through the document, something caught my attention. Thompson Technologies is a startup facing financial difficulties, but its business model is innovative. They've developed a technology that could revolutionize the industry, he continued, as all eyes turned to me. And where is the team? What makes it different from so many others that have failed? Asked, scanning the report. I needed more information, something that would make me believe this wouldn't be just another frustrating attempt. She's called Maya Thompson, the CEO. She has an extraordinary vision, but the team is demotivated due to the financial crisis. We need to act quickly, or we might lose this opportunity, my analyst replied. Those words resonated within me. I like challenges, and the idea of saving a struggling startup seemed intriguing. But at the same time, something told me the situation was more complex than it appeared. The look in Maya's eyes, behind those difficulties, might hold a story worth exploring. Schedule a meeting with her. I need to meet her, I ordered, mulling over how we could turn the situation to our advantage. A mix of curiosity and responsibility drove me. Maya was nervous, but her steady hands held the pages of her pitch firmly. I watched her as she prepared to present her idea to an investor who seemed uninterested. The atmosphere was heavy. The room, lit by cold lights, reflected the tension she emanated. She began to speak, and her voice, though hesitant, had a spark that captured the essence of her passion. "Sir, our technology is a response to a problem that affects millions. We are creating software that can optimize processes and increase efficiency for businesses," she said, her gaze fixed on the investor who didn't seem to be paying attention. I saw her struggle not only against the indifference of the man before her, but also against her own fears. "I understand what you're saying, Maya, but I don't see how this will sustain itself in such a saturated market," the investor replied, his words sharp as a blade. Maya's expression shifted, and I could see frustration turning into determination. "I understand your concerns, but we need a chance. Our team is willing to work hard. We have working prototypes. With the right investment, we can not only survive but thrive." She was almost pleading, and it touched me in an unexpected way. I had always admired perseverance, and her strength was commendable. After the meeting, I saw Maya leaving the room. Her shoulders slumped as if the weight of the world was on them. I decided to follow her, unable to ignore the feeling that there was something more at stake. "Maya!" I called as she passed through the hallway, almost crumbling under the pressure. She stopped and turned, her eyes filled with emotion. "You shouldn't be here, Nathan. I have nothing to offer," she said, her voice trembling. "Don't say that. I was just curious about your proposal. Your passion is palpable, even if it seems no one is listening," I replied, trying to offer a bit of comfort. "It's hard to keep hope when everyone around you seems to doubt you," she confessed, and for the first time, I saw vulnerability in her gaze. "My team is so demotivated. We've lost investors, and every meeting feels like another blow. Maybe you need a fresh perspective on what you're doing. I'd like to see your company up close," I suggested, surprising myself with my own audacity. What was driving me to want to get involved like this? But there was something about her that drew me in, a flame that shouldn't be extinguished. A few days later, I was on my way to Maya's startup. Expectations surrounded me like a fog. As I entered the building, I was greeted by an air of creativity and desperation. The walls were covered in colorful post-its, ideas and dreams behind the technology they were trying to develop. It was a small space, but it pulsed with the energy of something that could still work. Maya was in the middle of a presentation for her team, and I sat in a corner, observing her. The way she moved, the passion in her voice, it all impressed me. It was as if, at that moment, she was speaking not only about the startup but about her own struggle. "We need to find a way to show the world what we can do. We can't give up now," she said, her voice strong despite the fragility I knew lay beneath the surface. The team members listened attentively, and I realized she was indeed a leader. When she finished, the team applauded, but I noticed a fatigue in their faces. Maya smiled, but her eyes betrayed the worry she was trying to hide. "Hi, Maya," I called, approaching her. She turned, surprised to see me there. "Nathan, you came," she exclaimed, a mix of joy and nervousness on her face. "I want to know more about what you're doing here. I saw potential in your report, and I want to understand how I can help." She hesitated for a moment, as if weighing her words. "The truth is, we're struggling. Every day is a new battle, and I don't want to fail my team." "Don't worry, we'll find a solution. I'm here to help, and I want you to know that I believe in you," I offered, trying to convey the confidence I felt. Maya took a deep breath and smiled, a smile that lit up her tired face. "Thank you, Nathan. That means a lot to me." In that moment, I realized it wasn't just the startup that was in danger. There was something deeper and more significant at stake. What began as an interest in an investment now seemed to be a connection I hadn't expected but was starting to bloom. And I knew my involvement with Maya Thompson would be much more than just business. The atmosphere in the room was charged with expectation when Nathan walked in. He looked at me with an intense gaze, as if trying to decipher what was going on in my mind. The moment was crucial, and I knew it. What I didn't expect was that this conversation wouldn't just be about business. The air was thick with a mix of tension and palpable attraction that intensified with each passing second. "Maya, I'm here because I see enormous potential in your idea. But we need to talk about what really matters." Nathan's voice was firm, yet there was a softness that made me feel more at ease. I took a deep breath, trying to organize my thoughts. He was talking about investment, about the future of my startup, but at the same time there was something more in the way he addressed me. The sparkle in his eyes seemed to indicate that he was just as interested in me as he was in my ideas. "I know you're facing financial difficulties. What do you need to turn this situation around?" he asked, leaning slightly forward as if he wanted to absorb every word. "We need a more robust plan to scale our operations. We have a product that could revolutionize the market, but the execution is failing. Without capital, it's almost impossible." I began to explain, but he interrupted me. "And what if I were to invest? What would you do with that capital?" My heart raced. I knew this was the opportunity one had been waiting for, but it was also a risk. And there was something about Nathan that intrigued me. He wasn't just an investor. There was a depth to him that attracted me. "We need to hire more developers and invest in marketing. I want to bring in a team that can truly understand the vision of the company." Nathan nodded, and I could see he was thinking. "That makes sense. But what about your current team? Are they committed to your vision?" He looked at me with genuine curiosity, as if he were trying to understand not just the business, but also me. His question caught me off guard. I hesitated, remembering the betrayal from my former partner, who had undermined the trust of everyone around me. Not everyone is as committed as I would like. The truth is, my previous experience has made me cautious. Trust is something that is built, but it's easy to break. Nathan frowned, and I could see he was evaluating not only the company but also my determination. "And you? Are you willing to take that risk again? To trust someone who could disappoint you?" The question hung in the air like a heavy cloud. I looked at him, trying to decipher his intentions. Nathan was a businessman, and his life was marked by logic and reason. But there was an emotional side that stood out in the way he spoke to me. "Yes, I want to take the risk. I am ready to open up again, not just for the business, but for everything that might mean," I said, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. He smiled, and the tension between us seemed to intensify. I didn't know if it was the soft light in the room or the connection we were forming, but something inside me sparked with excitement. Great, then let's start working on this together. I want you to know that I'm here to support you, not just as an investor, but as someone who truly believes in your vision. Those words resonated within me. It was rare to find someone so genuine in the business world. There was a warmth in his sincerity that made me feel more secure. At the same time, a spark of something more began to ignite between us. In the days that followed, Nathan and I worked side by side. He became increasingly involved, not just in financial matters, but also in the day-to-day operations of the startup. One morning, while we were reviewing a report, our hands accidentally brushed against each other, and an electric current coursed through my body. "Sorry," I murmured, quickly retracting my hand, but he smiled, a smile that seemed to light up the room. "No problem. In fact, I like to think of it as a sign that we're in sync," he said, his penetrating gaze making me feel exposed. His comment left me a bit dazed. I knew there was a growing chemistry between us, but the memory of my past made me hesitate. Nathan was attractive, intelligent, and exuded a confidence that fascinated me, but I couldn't allow myself to repeat the same mistakes. "Nathan, we need to stay focused. We are working to save the company, and I don't want this to turn into something personal," I said, trying to protect myself. He raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised by my response. "I understand your concern, Maya, but what's happening between us is inevitable. Attraction is a powerful force, and we can't ignore it." I looked at him, trying to find an answer that didn't sound evasive. The truth was, I was attracted to him, but the vulnerability that came with it terrified me. "I just need time. I'm learning to trust again, and that's not easy." Nathan nodded, his expression now softer. "I respect that, but know that I'll be here, ready to support you, no matter what happens." His words calmed me, but at the same time they left a knot in my stomach. Time passed quickly, and our relationship, both personal and professional, became more complicated. One afternoon, while we were reviewing a presentation, the tension in the air was palpable. I was explaining a crucial point when our eyes met in an instant that seemed to last an eternity. It was as if the world around us disappeared, and all that mattered was that moment. "Maya, you're an incredible woman. Don't let the past define your future," Nathan said, his voice low and filled with sincerity. Those words touched me deeply. I knew he was referring to the betrayal I had suffered. The weight of responsibility I carried on my shoulders felt lighter when he was around. "I'm trying, Nathan. It's just that I'm scared. Scared to open up and end up hurt again." He moved closer, and I could feel the intensity of his presence. "I promise I'm not like him. I'm here to build something with you, not to destroy it." Those words struck me in a way I hadn't expected. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to surrender to this growing connection, but the fear still lingered. "I need time, space to process all of this," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Nathan took a deep breath, and I could see he respected my request, but disappointment was visible in his eyes. "I understand, Maya. I'll give you the space you need, but know that I'll be here when you're ready." Hearing his words, a part of me wished the situation were different. The desire to be with him was strong, but the weight of my past held me back from taking that step. As the meeting wrapped up, I stepped away, feeling the burden of uncertainty. Nathan was an incredible man, but I needed to confront my ghosts before allowing myself to embrace what could be a wonderful future. The following days were a whirlwind of emotions. Nathan and I continued to work together, but there was an invisible barrier between us. Though the chemistry was still there, I couldn't ignore the memories of my ex-partner and the insecurities they brought. One night, while I was reviewing documents, I received a message from Nathan. "Can we talk? I need to discuss a few things." My heart raced. I knew this conversation could change everything. "Of course, wherever you want," I replied, trying to maintain my composure. He met me at a nearby cafe. Seeing him intensified the tension. Nathan looked serious, but there was a determination in his gaze that made me feel he was about to say something important. Maya, we need to have an honest conversation. I can't ignore what's happening between us any longer. I held my breath. Nathan, let me finish. I know you have fears and I respect that, but what I feel for you is real. I don't want the fear of the past to stop you from living something incredible. I looked at him, feeling a mix of fear and hope. I want that. But the fear is paralyzing, and I don't want you to end up getting hurt. He leaned in closer, his gaze fixed on mine. I promise you won't get hurt. We're in this together. And together, we can overcome any challenge. The lights in Maya's startup office shone brightly, reflecting the euphoria that filled the atmosphere. It was a special day. After weeks of hard work and uncertainty, we were finally starting to see the fruits of Nathan's investment. The team was in a celebratory mood, and I felt lighter. The tension that had consumed us for months seemed to dissipate, and the air was charged with hope. As I watched the team laughing and sharing stories, I couldn't help but think about how Nathan had changed my world. He wasn't just an investor. He was a true ally, someone who believed in me and the vision I had for my startup. When our eyes met, I realized he was just as captivated by the energy of the moment. Nathan approached me, his smile infectious. Did you see the team's reaction? They're excited, he said, a sparkle in his eyes. Yes, it seems like we're finally on the right track, I replied, trying to hide the emotion bubbling in my chest. He leaned in slightly, as if sharing a secret. And it's all thanks to you, Maya. Your vision, your determination. It's inspiring. I felt my face heat up. I just did what I had to do. But honestly, I wouldn't have gotten this far without your support. Nathan looked into my eyes, and at that moment, the connection that had grown between us felt undeniable. The chemistry was there, pulsing and strong. But at the same time, a shadow of concern crossed my mind. The tech market was unstable, and this victory could be fleeting. The joy I felt now could quickly be replaced by the fear of a collapse. The next day, reality hit us hard. I was woken by a flurry of messages on my phone. News of a crisis in the tech market was spreading rapidly. The tension in the air was palpable when I arrived at the office, and the team was on high alert. Nathan was already there, his expression serious as he looked at the screens filled with data. Maya, we need to talk, he said, his voice heavy with concern. What's happened? I asked, feeling my heart race. The market situation is deteriorating. I've already received calls from worried investors about our startup's future. They're questioning whether we should continue or pull back, he explained, his frankness hitting me like a bucket of cold water. But we're making progress. The team is excited and we have a solid plan, I protested, trying to suppress the anxiety rising within me. I know, but they don't see that. They see numbers, Maya. They see risk. We need to be realistic. We can't ignore what's happening, Nathan said, his tone serious, but his concern was evident. I was overwhelmed by a sense of helplessness. The pressure was immense, and the hopes we had built were on the verge of unraveling. And if we give up, what would that mean for us? For the team? I asked, trying to understand the implications of any decision we had to make. He sighed, his eyes locked on mine. We can't consider giving up. We need to find a solution. Together. The thought of abandoning everything we had built was unbearable. The passion I felt for my startup was almost tangible, and the idea of seeing it all fall apart left me in anguish. But there was something else worrying me. The possibility that Nathan might decide it was better to step back. What would that mean for us? For what we were building, not just as a team but as people who cared for each other. Are you going to stay? I asked, almost in a whisper. Nathan hesitated, and his silence hit me like a blow to the chest. I want to stay, Maya. But we need to make rational decisions, not emotional ones. I don't want you to give up on me. My voice was louder than I intended. Our connection, what we're building, that's real for me. He moved closer, and for the first time, the romantic tension between us felt like it was about to explode. Maya, you don't need to worry about that. I'm here. But we need to face reality together. I feel like we're on a precipice, Nathan, I confessed, vulnerability spilling over. What if the fall is too great? Then we'll hold on to each other, he replied, the intensity of his gaze making me feel that we really could face any storm. The conversation we had that day became a turning point. The chemistry between us was undeniable, but the external pressure was becoming a challenge. I knew that if we weren't careful, we could lose not only our startup but also what had grown between us. As the days passed, the pressure mounted. Nathan's phone wouldn't stop ringing, and meetings became more frequent and intense. He was fighting to keep investors calm, while I worked to keep the team's morale high. ####, the tension was building like a storm about to break, and I could feel it in every exchanged glance with Nathan. One afternoon after a long day, I decided that I needed to confront Nathan about what was really at stake. He was in his office, papers scattered everywhere and an expression of exhaustion that broke my heart. "Nathan, we need to talk," I said, closing the door behind me. He looked up, his expression softening. "Sure, what's going on?" "About us. About what we're facing. We can't ignore that this pressure might be affecting more than just the startup," I said, trying to be clear. Nathan leaned back in his chair, running a hand through his hair. "Maya, I know things are tough, but we can't let this pull us apart. I don't want us to fall apart, but I feel like this pressure is pushing us away. We need to find a way to deal with it, to be honest about how we feel," I said, my voice trembling slightly. He stood up, coming closer, and for the first time, the emotional distance between us was beginning to shrink. "I care about you, about the company, about the future. But I can't let that stop me from caring about us." The tension between us was palpable, and the connection we felt was on the verge of transforming into something deeper. "Nathan, I don't know how this will end, but I don't want this uncertainty to destroy us," I confessed, looking into his eyes. He took a step forward, and the closeness between us seemed to electrify the air. "Then let's fight for this, Maya. For us and for the company. We can't let fear win." A sense of hope began to blossom within me again. Whatever the future held for us, we knew that together we were stronger. And that was what mattered. A gentle morning breeze wafted through the window of my office, bringing with it the aroma of fresh coffee. I looked at Maya, sitting across from me, her eyes shining with determination. After that heated discussion, there was something different between us. The tension that once existed had now transformed into a palpable synergy. It was as if, instead of drifting apart, we were finding a new path together. "Nathan, we need a plan that really works," she said, her tone firm yet tinged with vulnerability. "We can't afford to fail again." I took a sip of my coffee, contemplating her words. The truth was, I believed in Maya, not just as a businesswoman but as a leader. Her vision was contagious, and I was starting to feel a bit more than just an investor. It was hard not to be drawn in by her passion. "I agree. Let's work on this together," I replied, smiling. "How about we focus on a new approach for our product?" Maya leaned forward, her eyes lighting up. "Exactly. We can reimagine our software, make it more intuitive and accessible, and maybe add some features that really respond to our users' needs." As she spoke, I couldn't help but get lost in her energy. There was something incredibly inspiring about her vision. An idea began to form in my mind, and I interrupted. "What if we put together a presentation for investors, showing not just the numbers but also our passion and commitment?" I asked, excitement growing in my voice. Maya smiled, and it felt like all the tension between us melted away. "That would be amazing, Nathan. We need to show them that we're ready to fight for this." In the following days, we worked tirelessly. Our schedules merged into an intense routine of meetings, brainstorming sessions, and even sleepless nights. Every moment spent near Maya was electrifying. The way she dedicated herself to the project, the way her mind sparkled while solving problems, it all made me admire the woman in front of me more and more. One night, while we were reviewing some proposals, our fingers brushed lightly. The contact was brief, but the shock was undeniable. I looked at Maya, and I could see she felt it too. A wave of emotions swept through the atmosphere, and what once was just a workspace transformed into a realm of possibilities. "Sorry," I murmured, quickly pulling my hand back from the table. "I didn't mean to." "Nathan, you don't need to apologize," she replied, a bit flushed. "It was just unexpected." There was a moment of silence between us, where everything seemed suspended. The romantic tension was clearly there, but we both hesitated to take the next step. After all, we were immersed in a business world, and any deviation could complicate things. The networking event was approaching, and the atmosphere at the startup was charged with anticipation. It was our chance to show investors that we were on the right path. When the night finally arrived, I was nervous but also excited. Maya looked stunning in a dark blue dress that accentuated her figure and her eyes. When she entered the room, everyone else seemed to fade away, and all I could do was look at her. "You look amazing," I said, unable to contain a smile at the sight of her. "Thank you, Nathan. That means a lot coming from you." She smiled, but there was a slight tremor in her voice. During the event, I prepared a speech to introduce Maya as the co-founder of the startup. The nervousness was evident on my face, but when the moment came, all I could think about was how important it was to highlight her role. "It is with great pleasure that I present Maya Thompson, my partner and co-founder," I said, gesturing for her to join me on stage. Without her vision, none of this would be possible. As the applause erupted, Maya stepped onto the stage and began to speak about our new approach. Her confidence was contagious, and I realized that this was what she needed: recognition. "We are creating something that not only meets the current market needs but will also shape the future of technology," she said, her voice strong. "We are ready to face challenges and work hard to ensure that our startup not only survives but thrives." As she spoke, I couldn't help but admire how she commanded the room, as if every word she uttered was an invitation for investors to join us on this journey. The connection between us was becoming clearer by the moment. After the presentation, we found a quieter corner of the room, away from the crowds. The atmosphere was still vibrant, but here we could hear each other without distractions. "You were incredible up there," I said, still feeling the adrenaline from the stage. "That's what investors need to see. Your passion, your determination." Maya smiled shyly. "Thank you. ####. I can't deny that I felt nervous, but you gave me the confidence I needed." "The confidence comes from you, Maya. I'm just here to support," I replied, looking into her eyes. There was a sparkle in them that left me mesmerized. Before I could think, I placed my hand over hers. The touch was gentle, and for the first time there was no hesitation between us. It was as if all the time we spent together had finally found its way. "Nathan, she began, but before she could finish her sentence, a mutual acquaintance abruptly appeared, interrupting the moment. "Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt," said the man, looking at us in a bewildered manner. The magic of the moment was shattered, and I felt a mix of frustration and relief. "No problem," I replied, quickly retracting my hand. "We were just discussing the presentation." As soon as the man walked away, I looked at Maya, and the expression on her face told me she was just as disappointed as I was. Time seemed to be working against us. "What were you going to say?" I asked, trying to steer the conversation back to where we had left off. She hesitated, as if weighing her words. "I just wanted to say that, regardless of what happens with the startup, I truly appreciate what we are building together. Not just in terms of business but something deeper." My heart raced. It was as if the walls we had built between us began to crumble. But before I could respond, I realized that the night was still full of surprises. As the party continued, an old acquaintance of Maya appeared. He wasn't just a former partner from her previous company. He was someone who brought with him a past that could threaten everything we were building. I could feel the tension in the air as he approached. "Maya, it's great to see you here," he said, a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Maya froze, the expression on her face changing instantly. Something was about to happen, and I could sense that this night was far from over. Sunlight filtered through the office windows, creating a play of light and shadow that reflected the whirlwind of emotions I felt. Beside me, Maya was absorbed in her laptop, typing frantically while I watched her. It was impressive how dedicated she was to her startup, even amid the storm that was approaching. Her ex-partner, a traitor disguised as a friend, was about to jeopardize everything, and we needed to act fast. "Did you remember to send that email to the investors?" asked, trying to keep calm. She looked up, her brown eyes shining with determination. "Yes, I've sent it. But we need more than that, Nathan. We need a solid plan to expose what he's trying to do." "I agree. Let's gather the team and come up with a strategy. We need everyone on the same page." I felt a wave of anxiety, but also a surge of courage. Being by Maya's side made me want to fight, to win. We gathered the team in a conference room. The atmosphere was heavy, the tension palpable. Everyone was aware of the delicate situation we were in. I stood up, trying to convey confidence. "Folks, we know we're facing a challenge. Maya's ex-partner is trying to sabotage our image and drive away investors. But we won't let that happen. We need to be transparent and show the truth." Maya joined me, her presence strong and inspiring. "What he's doing is selfish and dishonest. I trusted him, but now I see he only wanted what was best for himself. We need to show the investors that we are a strong, united team and that we won't give up." One of the team members raised their hand. "What if he tries to discredit us? How can we ensure that the investors believe us?" "We need proof," I replied, looking around the room. "We have to show them that what he says is just a facade." "Maya, do you have any documents or emails that can help us expose his lies?" She frowned, thoughtful. "Yes, I have some emails I exchanged with him before ending our partnership. He was very controlling, and in one of them he mentions wanting to maintain control of the company. That could reveal his true intentions." "Perfect. Let's use that to our advantage," I said, feeling a wave of hope. "Let's organize a presentation for the investors and lay it all out. We need them to see the truth." In the following days, we worked tirelessly. The atmosphere of collaboration was contagious, and the team seemed revitalized by a new energy. Each of us had a role to play, and I couldn't help but notice how Maya shone under pressure. She was a true leader. One night, while we were reviewing the presentation details, I felt an urgent need to talk about how I felt about her. "Maya," I began, hesitating, "I want you to know how much I admire your strength. I've never met anyone so determined and passionate about what they do." She paused and looked me in the eyes. "Thank you, Nathan. That means a lot to me. But we need to focus on work right now. We can't let our feelings interfere with what we're trying to build." "I know, but—" I interrupted myself, searching for the right words. "I can't ignore how I feel. You've become very important to me, and I don't know how to go on without acknowledging that." Maya looked away, deep in thought. "Nathan, I also feel something for you, but I'm scared. What happens if we fail? What if this ends up ruining our professional partnership? I understand your fear, but I believe we can do this. Together we are stronger. I don't want to be just your investor. I want to be someone who stands by your side, not just at work, but in life." She took a deep breath, the internal struggle evident on her face. "This is a big decision, Nathan. We need to put the company first." "Yes, but what we're building is precious. We can't let uncertainty stop us from exploring what we truly feel for each other." The silence that followed was laden with meaning. We both knew we were at a crossroads, and the decision we made could change our lives forever. Finally, she broke the silence. "Let's focus on the presentation. After that, we can talk about us." "Agreed," I replied, even though a part of me wished we had time to explore this new dynamic between us. The day of the presentation arrived, and nerves filled the air. The room was packed with investors, all sporting expectant expressions. Maya and I prepared to present our case and expose the truth about her ex-partner. During the presentation, Maya was stunning. Your confidence and eloquence captivated the audience. She spoke with passion, and every word seemed to resonate in the hearts of everyone present. As she moved through the room, I watched her, admiring her strength and determination. But then something happened. A notification on my phone distracted me. It was a message from Maya's ex-partner, revealing compromising information about the company. My heart raced. What was he trying to do? I looked at Maya, who was in the middle of her presentation, and concern settled in my chest. "Sorry, I need to interrupt," I murmured, raising my hand. She looked at me, confused. "Nathan, what's happening?" she asked, worry evident in her eyes. "It's a message from your ex-partner. He's trying to undermine our presentation," I replied, feeling adrenaline coursing through my veins. The expressions on the investors' faces changed, and the tension thickened. "We need to act now. We can't let him destroy what we're trying to build." Maya took a deep breath, and despite the panic settling in, she turned to the audience. "Everyone, please disregard any messages that my ex-partner may have sent. I'm here to speak the truth and expose his lies." The room fell silent, and all eyes were fixed on her. It was a decisive moment, and I knew she was about to shine. But the weight of uncertainty loomed over us. What would happen if we couldn't defend ourselves? What would happen to us both? The truth was being revealed, but the struggle was far from over. As the tension hung in the air, I felt my heart race. The atmosphere in the presentation room was charged with expectation. Nathan positioned himself beside me, and I could see the determination in his eyes. He believed in me, and that gave me the strength I needed to move forward. I couldn't let my ex-partner bring me down again. It was time to defend myself. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, my voice steady, "what you've heard about me and our startup is not the truth. My ex-partner, Alex, has a history of manipulation and betrayal. He doesn't care about our company. He only wants what's best for him." The words flowed with a clarity I didn't know I possessed. The silence in the room was almost palpable. Nathan leaned in closer, his encouraging gaze making me feel stronger. "Keep going, Maya. They need to hear you," he whispered, his presence giving me a push I didn't know I needed. When Alex left, he left behind a trail of lies and distrust. He tried to destabilize everything we built together, I continued, now more confident. "But I won't allow him to destroy what has cost me so much to create. We have an innovative product, an amazing team, and a vision that goes far beyond any selfish interest." The expressions of the investors began to shift. Some looked intrigued, others concerned. But I wouldn't stop. "The truth is that our startup is at a crucial juncture. With the right support, we can not only recover what we've lost but also expand and thrive. I ask you to look at what truly matters: our passion, our dedication, and the innovation we offer." When I finished speaking, silence fell once more. I could feel the weight of expectation. Nathan moved in closer, placing a hand on my back as a gesture of support. He knew this moment was crucial, and so did I. Then one of the investors, known for his pragmatic stance, stood up. My heart leaped in my chest. "Maya, your story resonates with us. I know Alex and what he's capable of. But what you've presented here today is much more than just a narrative. It's a vision. And I'm willing to invest in your startup." A murmur swept through the room. Nathan smiled at me, and I felt hope renewing within me. "How much?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. $1 million. "And more importantly, I'm here to help shape the future of your company." "I want to work with you," the investor said, looking directly into my eyes. I could hardly process the words. $1 million. It was exactly what we needed to not only stay afloat but to grow. "That's incredible," I exclaimed, my eyes shining with emotion. "I accept. We accept." Nathan looked at me with visible pride. He knew this was a defining moment, not just for the future of the startup but for us both. The investor began discussing the terms of the agreement, but I was in a state of euphoria, barely able to pay attention. At the end of the presentation, as the investors began to disperse, Nathan pulled me aside, away from everyone. "You were amazing up there, Maya. I knew you had it in you. I wouldn't have succeeded without you, Nathan. Your belief in me gave me courage, I said, still breathless. The adrenaline was starting to fade, but the emotion still pulsed within me. It's not just that, Maya. I want you to know that I'm not just investing in your company. I'm investing in you. In us, he said, his voice low and intense. I felt my heart race again. Do you really think we can do this? Mix business and, well, this? I didn't know how to refer to what was growing between us. I don't think I know. What we're building, both for the company and between us, is solid. We don't need to be afraid to mix things up. In fact, I believe it can strengthen us, he replied, his deep gaze fixed on mine. You make me believe it's possible. I was so focused on protecting the company that I didn't realize how much I was closing myself off from love, I confessed, a bit embarrassed. Nathan smiled, a smile that lit up his face and made my stomach flutter. Life is full of risks, Maya, and sometimes the biggest risk is not allowing yourself to feel. Let's do this together. I didn't know if I should take the next step, but the way he looked at me made it feel like there were no more barriers. What if I decide to take the risk? I asked, my voice almost a whisper. Then I'll be here by your side, not just as your investor but as someone who truly cares about you, Nathan replied, moving even closer. In that moment, I realized it wasn't just the financial investment we were making. We were investing in each other, in our dreams, and in a future together. And as scary as that might seem, it was also incredibly liberating. The following weeks were a whirlwind of work, renewal, and growth. The investment provided our startup with the necessary capital injection, and soon we were implementing new strategies and working to expand. But more than that, we were finally allowing our relationship to blossom. On a sunny day, while we were reviewing a new project in the office, Nathan looked at me and said, "Have you ever thought about how all of this started? A pitch full of uncertainties. And now here we are together, turning dreams into reality." Yes, and I can't believe how much has changed. Life is truly full of surprises, I replied, my heart warmed by his presence. Sometimes the most challenging situations can lead us to where we truly belong. And I'm grateful to have you by my side, he said, his gaze deep and sincere. And so, as we continued to build the startup, we also built a love that defied the odds. I realized that the true investment worth making was the one we made in each other. Together, we were ready to face any challenge that the future might hold.